Nearly 3 in 5 home sellers in San Antonio cut their asking price last month, 58.7%, the highest rate of any major city in the entire United States. Drive through any new subdivision north of San Antonio right now, and you will see the same thing: freshly paved streets, brand new houses, and for sale signs that have been standing so long the sun has started to bleach the lettering. This is Texas, the state that was supposed to be different. But here is what they are not telling you. Today we count down the 10 Texas cities where home sellers are getting crushed by price cuts in 2026. Houston, Fort Worth, Dallas, Austin. And number 1 is the city that Redfin just named the single worst market for sellers in the entire country. Subscribe now so you never miss the next housing warning. Drive into Houston on I-10 heading east, and the city comes at you like it always has. Steel and glass stacking up on the horizon, cranes dotting the skyline, the smell of humidity and Gulf air hanging over the lanes. This is still one of the largest cities in the United States. It still feels like it. But here is what the real estate agents are not showing you. In May of 2026, 122 homes in Houston were fully repossessed by banks. 122. Not pre-foreclosures, not missed payments. Homes where the owners are already gone, the deed is already back in the bank's hands. According to Atom Data Solutions, May 2026. Foreclosure Market Report, Houston had the highest number of completed bank repossessions of any city in the entire state of Texas that month. The reason comes down to math. According to U.S. Census Bureau data released in January of 2026, the number of people moving to Texas from other states fell from 222,000 at the peak in 2022 to just 67,000 in 2025. That is a 70% collapse. The buyers who were supposed to absorb Houston's housing inventory stopped arriving. The mortgage payments did not stop. A growing number of Houston sellers report the same sequence list: the home wait 2 months, drop the price, wait another month, drop again. Accept an offer $15,000 below the second ask, and still feel lucky anyone showed up. If you bought in Houston near the 2021 peak, here is what happened to your money. According to Redfin's March 2026 data, Houston home prices are down approximately 1.6% year over year. On a $400,000 home, that is $6,400 gone on paper in 12 months. Add the seller concessions, closing cost credits, rate buydowns that have become standard in this market, and the real exit cost is higher. If 122 homes in this city were just handed back to the bank last month, what exactly does that do to the value of the house next door? Fort Worth always sold itself as the real Texas, not the polished glass tower version you get in Dallas, the actual thing. Stockyards still standing. A downtown with some grit left in it. A city where people chose to live, not just commute through. When Dallas got expensive, Fort Worth became the answer. When the DFW boom took off, Fort Worth rode it harder than anyone expected. But here is what the real estate agents are not showing you. According to Resi Club Analytics' April 2026 market report, the Dallas-Fort Worth metro has crossed a line. Active housing inventory in this market has now surpassed pre-pandemic levels for the first time since the boom began. Buyers in Fort Worth have more negotiating power than at any point in the last 5 years. That is not good news if you are the one holding a listing. The data from Redfin tells the rest of the story. According to Redfin's April 2026 price drops report, 50.5% of Dallas-Fort Worth metro sellers are cutting their asking prices, placing the metro in the top 5 worst markets for seller pain in the entire United States. The Texas Real Estate Research Center at Texas A&M put it plainly in their 2026 spring report: supply is back. Confidence is not. A growing number of Fort Worth sellers who listed in early 2026 expected fast offers. Instead, they got lowball bids with inspection contingencies attached. Buyers asking for closing cost credits. People taking their time because for the first time in years, time is on the buyer's side. If you bought in Fort Worth, near the DFW peak in 2022, here is what happened to your money. What the metro level data already tells you is this 1 in 2 sellers across this market is cutting their asking price. If you are still priced at 2022 levels, the buyers have already answered you. They just did it with silence. If buyers in Fort Worth now have more leverage than at any point in the last 5 years, why would you still be priced like it is 2022? Head west out of Houston on I-10, and the city eventually gives way to something that felt 5 years ago like the future. Katy, Texas. Subdivision after subdivision rolling out along both sides of the highway. Streets with names like Willow Creek Lane and Sunset Ridge Drive. Homes with 3-car garages and manicured front lawns and HOA newsletters about the community pool schedule. This was where people came when Houston itself felt too crowded. But here is what the real estate agents are not showing you. According to Housing Wire's 2026 analysis of Texas housing supply, the western corridor of the Houston suburbs Katy Sugarland Pearland was the epicenter of pandemic-era overbuilding in the state. Streets of single-family homes built to absorb a migration wave that has since largely evaporated. According to U.S. Census Bureau data, domestic in-migration into Texas dropped 70% between 2022 and 2025. The homes are standing. The buyers are elsewhere. The builders did not slow down in time. According to Housing Wire, Texas entered 2026 carrying an outsized surplus of entry-level inventory, a problem most concentrated in exactly these suburban corridors. Builders are now pulling back permits. The homes already sitting on the market still have to compete for the same shrinking pool of buyers. A growing number of Katy homeowners who bought new construction in 2021 or 2022 are watching the same floor plan listed 2 streets over for less, sometimes significantly less. In some cases, the original builder is still selling new inventory nearby at a discount. The secondary market is competing against the builder's own clearance pricing. That is not a competition anyone wins. If you bought new construction in Katy near the 2021 or 2022 peak, here is what happened to your money. According to Redfin's March 2026 data, Houston area home prices are down approximately 1.6% year over year. The pressure, though, is not just in that number, it is in the comp sheet. Every new listing that comes in below what you paid quietly rewrites what your home is worth, whether your Zestimate catches up or not. If your neighbor just listed their house for less than you paid, what exactly is your home worth today? There was a time not long ago when McKinney, Texas was the fastest growing city in America. That was not a marketing slogan. That was census data. People flooded in from California, Illinois, the East Coast, chasing affordable land and strong schools, and a city that felt like it was just getting started. McKinney had the numbers to prove it. But here is what the real estate agents are not showing you. According to market analysts tracking the Dallas-Fort Worth metro in 2026, McKinney is now among the communities showing the softest pricing corrections in the entire DFW market. The population engine that powered McKinney's rise has stalled. According to U.S. Census Bureau data released in January of 2026, Texas domestic in-migration fell from 222,000 at its peak to 67,000 in 2025. McKinney built for the boom. The boom is over. The timing is what makes this sharp. The heaviest construction years in McKinney were 2021 and 2022, precisely when migration into Texas was near its high point. Then the migration collapsed. According to the Texas Real Estate Research Center at Texas A&M, Texas entered 2026 with supply back and buyer confidence absent. In a city whose entire identity was built on growth, confidence matters more than anywhere else. A growing number of McKinney sellers who listed in early 2026 encountered something unfamiliar: buyers who are not in a hurry. Offers below asking with contingencies. Requests for seller concessions that would have been laughed off 2 years ago. People who were told McKinney always moved fast are learning that fast belonged to a different market in a different moment. If you bought in McKinney near the Collin County Peak in 2022, here is what happened to your money. What the Metro data shows is this 1 in 2 sellers across the DFW market is cutting their asking price. The fastest growing city in America is now competing for buyers who stopped arriving. The fastest growing city in America just ran out of buyers. When does a city that grew too fast start falling back down? If this is hitting close to home, hit subscribe. We cover these markets every week so you can stay ahead of what is coming. Frisco was supposed to be the answer. When Dallas got expensive and McKinney got crowded, Frisco was the next bet. Gleaming new retail corridors, a professional sports practice facility, top-rated school districts, and home prices that once seemed high but kept climbing anyway. People paid premiums to be in Frisco because Frisco kept delivering. That was the deal, and for years, the deal held. But here is what the real estate agents are not showing you. According to Redfin's April 2026 data, 50.5% of Dallas-Fort Worth metro sellers are cutting their asking prices 1 in 2 sellers across the same metro that Frisco calls home. The premium suburb is now carrying the same inventory weight as the city's people moved here to escape. According to ResiClub Analytics' April 2026 report, DFW active inventory has crossed above pre-pandemic levels. The market Frisco was built on no longer exists in the form it had when those premiums were set. The same force is at work here as in every city on this list. Texas domestic in-migration, the fuel behind Frisco's ascent, fell from over 200,000 at its peak to just 67,000 in 2025 per U.S. Census Bureau data. Frisco attracted buyers from premium markets in California and the Northeast. When those markets stopped sending people, the premium stopped making sense. A growing number of Frisco sellers who bought near the 2022 peak report the same gap, the price they need to cover their mortgage, is not the price the market will currently pay. That gap is being absorbed quietly in asking price reductions, in closing cost credits, in rate buy-down concessions that did not exist 2 years ago. The premium zip code is negotiating now. If you bought in Frisco near the DFW peak in 2022, here is what happened to your money. What the market has already documented at the metro level is this: half of all sellers in this market are cutting their asking price. The premium you paid for Frisco's zip code is being discounted by the market one listing at a time. If you paid a premium to be in the best suburb in Texas, and now that suburb is full of for sale signs, what exactly did you pay a premium for? Drive north out of Austin on I-35, and the city eventually gives way to something that felt not long ago like escape. Georgetown, Texas. Tree-lined squares. A Victorian courthouse at the center of a historic downtown. Neighborhoods built fast and fresh along both sides of the highway, each one promising space and schools and a slower version of the Austin life without the Austin price tag. But here is what the real estate agents are not showing you. According to Redfin's April 2026 data, 55.8% of Austin metro sellers are cutting their asking prices, the second highest rate of any major market in the United States. And per market analysis from the Texas Real Estate Research Center at Texas A&M, the outer ring of the Austin metro is where the pressure is hitting hardest. Georgetown sits in that outer ring. The people who came here to escape Austin's prices are now in the part of the market that is correcting fastest. The root cause is the same one that built Georgetown in the first place, Austin's tech relocation wave. According to Zillow's 2026 data, Austin home values are down 6.8% year over year, reflecting a tech-driven premium that is quietly being walked back as companies pull return-to-office mandates, reduce headcount, and slow the relocations that made this corridor explode. A growing number of Georgetown buyers who purchased in 2021 and 2022 are watching their comps reset in real time. Neighbors listing at prices below what they paid. Inspection contingencies that did not exist 2 years ago, now appearing in every offer. The Austin suburb that absorbed the overflow is absorbing the correction too. If you bought in Georgetown near the Austin metro peak in 2022, here is what happened to your money. According to Zillow's 2026 data, Austin area home values are down approximately 6.8% over the past year. On a $450,000 home, that is $30,600 gone on paper in 12 months. And the outer ring tends to move further and faster than the core. If the Austin tech boom is what drove your neighborhood's prices up, and that boom is now pulling back, what exactly is your house worth without it? Take I-35 northeast out of San Antonio, and you will pass through a stretch of Texas hill country that still manages to feel like it belongs to a different era. New Braunfels, a river town, tubing on the Kommel, German heritage festivals, the kind of place people discover and immediately start telling other people about. And for 3 or 4 years running, a lot of people were listening. But here is what the real estate agents are not showing you. According to market analysis from Manage Casa's 2026 Texas Housing Guide, the outer ring of the San Antonio metro, where pandemic-era construction was most concentrated, is now showing the most significant pricing pressure in the entire metro area. New Braunfels sits at the top of that outer ring, and the San Antonio metro number that anchors this entire story is already documented according to Redfin's April 2026. Data: 58.7% of San Antonio metro sellers cut their asking prices last month. That is the highest rate of any major metro in the United States. The suburb north of it is not insulated from that number. It is part of it. The mechanism is straightforward. New Braunfels attracted people who could not afford San Antonio's pandemic-era pricing. Then San Antonio's pricing corrected. The buyers who were priced out of the city found out the escape hatch had its own price tag and then its own correction. According to U.S. Census Bureau data, Texas domestic in-migration fell 70% between 2022 and 2025. The pipeline of new arrivals that sustained New Braunfels has narrowed. A growing number of New Braunfels sellers report offers arriving well below asking with contingencies, with requests for seller concessions. And after weeks of silence, that would have been unthinkable in 2021. The hill country charm is still there. The buyer urgency is not. If you bought in New Braunfels near the San Antonio outer metro peak in 2022, here is what happened to your money. According to Redfin's February 2026 data, the average Texas seller who cut their asking price lowered it by $40,915, 7.3% of the original list price. In an outer metro suburb where every comp shapes the next one, each discounted listing brings the market floor down with it. You move to the outer ring to escape the prices. The outer ring is exactly where the pain is hitting hardest. Where do you go next? Come into Dallas on I-35E, heading south, and the skyline assembles itself slowly, glass towers catching the afternoon light. The Margaret Hunt Hill Bridge arching white over the Trinity River. A city that has spent 20 years building the version of itself it always wanted to be. Dallas worked. The numbers proved it. People came, companies relocated. The housing market went vertical. But here is what the real estate agents are not showing you. According to Redfin's April 2026 price drops, report 50.5% of Dallas home sellers cut their asking price last month, 1 in 2 sellers. In one of the largest metros in Texas, half the people trying to move their home have been forced to lower their number. That is not a soft patch. That is a market that has turned. And according to Atom Data Solutions' May 2026 foreclosure report, 88 Dallas homes were fully repossessed by banks last month. Deeds already transferred, owners already gone. The supply tells the rest of the story. According to the Texas Real Estate Research Center at Texas A&M, Texas entered 2026 with 141,519 homes on the market, 10.07 months of supply. A balanced market needs 6. Dallas is sitting in inventory it cannot clear at mortgage rates that, according to Bankrate, were 6.54%, as recently as May of 2026. The math does not close for the buyers who are supposed to be there. According to Culture Map, reporting from 2026 Dallas sellers who once expected bidding wars are now managing something they did not prepare for negotiation from a position of weakness. Buyers asking for closing cost credits. Buyers submitting below, asking without apology. The leverage has changed hands, and sellers who did not notice are finding out. If you bought in Dallas near the metro peak in 2022, here is what happened to your money. What is already documented, 1 in 2 sellers is cutting their price, and the average cut across the Texas market runs $40,915 per listing. On a $400,000 home in Dallas, that is 10% of the purchase price handed back before the deal even closes. 1 in 2 sellers in this city just had to lower their price. If you list your house tomorrow, do you expect to be the 1 in 2 who does not have to? There was a narrative that grew up around Austin and stuck for years. The city where Tesla moved its headquarters, where Oracle followed, where young professionals from San Francisco and New York landed and decided to stay. Austin was not just a city, it was a trade. You bought into it. The market rewarded you. And then more people did the same thing, until the prices started to say something the city itself was not ready to hear. But here is what the real estate agents are not showing you. According to Redfin's April 2026 data, 55.8% of Austin home sellers cut their asking price last month, the second highest rate of any major metro in the entire United States. And according to Zillow's 2026 market data, Austin home values sit at $512,937, down 6.8% over the past year. That is not a rounding error. That is a city in the middle of repricing what it was worth when the boom was running. The underlying driver is the same migration story, playing out differently here. The companies that brought people to Austin slowed their relocations. Some reversed them. According to U.S. Census Bureau data released in January of 2026, Texas domestic in-migration dropped from 222,000 at peak to 67,000 in 2025. Austin was the destination for a significant share of those arrivals. When the arrivals stopped, the demand justifying those prices stopped with them. According to reporting from KXAN Austin in 2026, sellers, who are still anchored to peak-era valuations, are finding out the hard way that the market has moved on. Buyers who once competed against 5 other offers are now submitting one offer with contingencies attached and patience to spare. If you bought in Austin at the peak in 2022, here is what happened to your money. According to Zillow's 2026 Austin market data, home values in the city are down 6.8% year over year. On a $500,000 home purchased at the 2022 high, that is $34,000 gone on paper in 12 months. One analysis of the Austin market noted the total decline from the May 2022 peak was approaching 25%, though figures vary by source and neighborhood. The city that became the symbol of the tech relocation boom is now down nearly 7% in a single year. Was it a city or was it a trade? Drive through any new subdivision north of San Antonio right now, and you will see the same thing. Freshly paved streets, brand new houses with tidy landscaping and 2-car garages, and Ring doorbells on the front door. And for sale signs. A lot of for sale signs. Some of them have been standing long enough that the sun has started to bleach the lettering. San Antonio was supposed to be different. When Austin got expensive and Dallas got crowded, San Antonio was the affordable answer. The last place in Texas where the numbers still made sense for working people. But here is what the real estate agents are not showing you. According to Redfin's April 2026, price drops report 58.7% of San Antonio home sellers cut their asking price last month. 58.7%. Nearly 3 in 5 sellers in this city lowered their number before anyone would agree to buy. That is the highest rate of any major metropolitan area in the entire United States. Not just in Texas, not just in the South, in the country. The city that was supposed to be the affordable solution has become the worst market for sellers in America. The mechanism is the one that has run through every city on this list, but it hits harder here because San Antonio had no margin. Austin could absorb some correction because buyers were willing to pay for the brand. San Antonio never had that buffer. According to U.S. Census Bureau data, Texas domestic in-migration collapsed from 222,000 at peak to 67,000 in 2025. The people who were supposed to need San Antonio's affordable housing stopped coming. The inventory kept building. According to the Texas Real Estate Research Center at Texas A&M, Texas entered 2026 with 10.07 months of supply statewide. And the outer rings of the San Antonio metro, where construction was heaviest, are carrying more than their share of that weight. According to Culture Map, San Antonio's 2026 reporting sellers across the metro are slashing asking prices at record rates. The sequence is consistent list. The home wait drop, the price wait longer, drop again. The affordable city turns out to be affordable for a reason. The sellers are only now beginning to understand. If you bought in San Antonio in 2022, here is what happened to your money. According to Redfin's February 2026 data, the average seller in the Texas market who cut their price lowered it by $40,915, 7.3% of the original list price. At 58.7%, more than half of San Antonio's sellers are taking that hit right now. That is not an abstract statistic. That is $40,000. That is a car. That is more than a year of someone's salary. Gone from the ask before the buyer even walks through the door. More than half of the people trying to sell a home in this city right now have had to lower their asking price. If you are thinking about buying, what does that tell you about the seller sitting across the table from you? Every city on this list was sold to someone as a solution. Houston was the solution for people priced out of Los Angeles. Austin was Silicon Valley with a backyard and no state income tax. McKinney was Dallas with space left. Frisco was the suburb that would always deliver. San Antonio was the last city in Texas where the numbers still made sense for working people. Each label was real enough at the right moment to justify a price. And across Texas, hundreds of thousands of people signed mortgages on the strength of those labels. What the data shows now, city by city, from Redfin, from Atom, from the U.S. Census Bureau, is that the labels outlasted the conditions that made them true. Domestic in-migration into Texas dropped 70% between 2022 and 2025. The builders did not get the memo in time. The homes were already framed, already sold, already closing, and the buyers who were supposed to follow stopped coming. 10.07 months of supply sitting statewide, 1 in 2 sellers cutting their asking price in San Antonio, Austin, and Dallas. 122 homes handed back to banks in Houston in a single month. These are not predictions. They are the numbers already on record, already in the data, already visible to anyone willing to look at them without flinching. Texas did not build a housing market. It built a bet on permanent growth. And right now, that bet is being repriced, one asking price reduction at a time in every city, from the Houston Ship Channel to the Hill Country north of San Antonio. The warning signs were always there. The question is, were you watching? This video is for informational purposes only and does not constitute financial or real estate advice. Always consult a licensed professional before making any investment decisions. Subscribe, share this with someone who needs to hear it, and drop your city in the comments below.